Hello and welcome back to StatLab. Today we're going to look at the topic of probability. Before we do, let's look at a few definitions. Disjoint events, also known as mutually exclusive events, are events that cannot occur at the same time. For example, if you walk into a room, a light switch, you can turn it on or you can turn it off, but you can't do both. Once you turn it on, it's not off, and once you turn it off, it's not on. So they both can't happen at the same time. So that would be an example of a disjoint event. Independent events are two or more occurrences where the outcome of one does not affect the probability of another. For example, let's say you created a playlist for 10 songs and you ask it to shuffle through the songs. Usually what happens is the first song, you have a 1 in 10 chance of getting any particular song. So it plays the song, but then when it selects the second song, usually it doesn't choose from all 10. It only chooses from the 9 remaining. So your second song, you really have 1 in 9 chances. And then it will go all the way down until you only have one song left. And basically it's 100% sure going to be a specific song because it's the only one left. Now, we have something that's called with replacement. So that refers to a sampling method where an item is selected from a population and then it's returned to the pool before we draw the next one. So if we look at our example of the playlist, let's suppose you told the program to, after you play a song and you're going to choose the next one, I want you to choose randomly from all 10 options, even if you've just played that song. So in that case, you could end up having a song played more than once in a row, but it would be random and equal chance of getting any song at any point. So when we say with replacement, that's what we mean. Okay, let's take a look at some examples. You buy a bag of candy. You pour out the candy. You find that you have 8 blue, 10 red, 5 yellow, 6 orange, and 7 brown candies. Let's first find the total number of candies in the bag. So we add up 8 plus 10 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7, we get 36. So we have 36 candies. So let's start figuring out the distribution of color for these candies. So you can see that I have 8 blue out of a total of 36. So if I want to find the proportion that are blue, I'm going to take 8 and divide it by 36 and get 0.2222. So we can fill that in. Now we're going to do the same thing for red. Only it's going to be 10 divided by 36, and then yellow, 5 divided by 36, orange, 6 divided by 36, and brown, 7 divided by 36. Now you'll notice the last row column says total. It's important to do this because it's a double check to make sure that you didn't make a mistake. And if we add up all these numbers, we get 1, which is what you must get. Now, sometimes because of rounding, you might end up getting in your calculator 0.99999 or 1.00001. That's fine. That's just a rounding error. But generally, you're trying to get 1. So if you added up these numbers and you got something like 1.2 or 0.97, then you've made a mistake somewhere. So it has to total 1. So now that we have our distribution, we can look at answering questions about the candies. You return all the candies to the bag, you shake it all up, and you randomly select one candy. What is the probability that the candy is yellow? Well, we can see up in the table that we've already calculated the probability for yellow. So we would just basically say that the probability of selecting a yellow candy is 0.1389 or 13.89%. Pretty simple. Okay, let's look at another one. Same thing, you return all the candies, you shake it all up, and you select another candy. This time, what's the probability that the candy is blue or red? So now we have 2 options. So for this, we're going to use something called the addition rule for disjoint events. And the reason why we can do that is because of this word right here, or. So if you see or, you know you're going to be adding these things together. So we would take the probability for blue and add it to the probability for red. And that would give us our total probability because either one of those is what we're looking for. The probability of selecting a blue or red candy is 0.5000 or 50%. Okay, so let's look at another one. Same thing, you return all the candies, you shake it all up, you select a random one again. This time, what's the probability that the candy is not red? For this, we use something called the complement rule. So since we know that the total distribution has to total 1, we simply minus off the distribution for red, which is 1 minus 0.2778, and everything that's left is 0.722. Now, of course, you could have added up the blue, the yellow, the orange, the brown, but it's often easier to just do 1 minus the one that you're not looking for. So in this case, we would say the probability of selecting a non-red color is basically 72.22%. So now we're going to look at something a little bit more complicated. After returning the candies to the bags, you shake it all up, but this time you're going to select 4 candies. Now we're going to assume replacement because we have a small sample. So what I mean is that every time you select one, before you select the next one, you put that one back and shake it all up. And so each one is a completely random selection. So my question is, what is the probability that all the candies are blue? So for this, we use something called the multiplication rule for independent events. So as long as we put that first candy back in before we should select the second one, they're independent events. Now, if we had a huge sample of like thousands of candies, it wouldn't matter so much to pull out 4 candies. But we only have 36 candies, so obviously pulling out 4 would actually affect the distribution, which is why it's important that we put it back in. In this case, we look at what's the probability of 1 blue. Well, we know 1 blue is 0.2222, and so we have to multiply that by itself 4 times for one for each of the candies, and that gives us 0.0024. Now notice I didn't multiply it by 4, I multiplied it by itself 4 times, okay? So the probability of selecting 4 blue candies is basically 0.24%. So you can see it's very unlikely. We'll look at another example. Same thing, we're going to select 4 candies, but we're going to put each one back before we select the next one. This time I want to know what's the probability that none of the candies are blue. Okay, so this time we're going to use the complement rule and the multiplication rule. So first we'll do 1 minus 0.2222 to get 0.7778, and then we multiply that by itself 4 times. And we find that the probability of selecting no blue candies is 36.60%. Okay, now this is the point or the type of question where students go off track. They have a really hard time with this one, and I've come up with a visual example that helps students. But let's do the question first, and then I'll show you the visual example. So if it doesn't make sense to you when I'm doing it, that's okay. Just hold on. We'll look at an example. We'll look at something visual. Okay, so here's the question. Same thing, you put them all back, randomly select your 4 candies. What is the probability that at least one of the 4 candies is blue? So again, as I said, this is often where students kind of go off track, but what it actually is just the complement rule. So we have already determined that the probability of none of them being blue was 0.3660, and the probability that at least one candy is blue is the opposite of that. So we use the complement rule. So the probability of selecting at least one blue candy is 0.6340, or 63.40%. Now, if you're one of those few people that's not obvious to you, or you don't really understand why, because sometimes people will think something like, well, the opposite of none is all, but that's not the case. So let's just look at this visual here. Imagine that these are your 4 candies, and I have 5 rows because there's 5 possible combinations. So I don't care what the color is when it's not blue, so it doesn't matter what one it is. I'm only caring about blue. So the first option is that all 4 candies are blue. Okay. Now the second option is that I have 3 blue candies and 1 of some other color. Like I said, it doesn't matter what the other color is. The only thing that matters is that 3 of them are blue. The next option is that I have 2 that are blue and 2 that are something else. And then of course, I have the option of 1 being blue and 3 being something else. And finally, I have the option of none being blue. So when you look at these 5 options, we will start at the bottom and we're going to ask the question, is there at least 1 blue? So when we look at the bottom row, if we say, is there at least 1 blue? No, there is not. If we go up 1, yes, there's at least 1 blue. Yes, there's at least 1 blue. Yes, there's at least 1 blue. And yes, there's at least 1 blue. So you can see that at least 1 blue is everything that is not no blue. And we've already determined that none of them being blue is 0.3660. So that means that the probability of it being at least 1 is everything else. And since we know that everything is 1, we simply do 1 minus 0.3660. That gives us our probability of 0.6340. So hopefully if it didn't make sense when I did the question, hopefully this picture helped you see why the opposite of none is at least 1. And you could also look at the question the opposite way. You could say, at least one of them isn't blue. So that would be the opposite of all, is at least one of them isn't. So just keep an eye out for that when you have those questions, because they often kind of trick students a little bit. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit like. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe. And in the next video, we're going to look at random variables and predicting with those. See you in the next video.